Shadow Zapdos might have the typing advantage, but Moltres looks to close the show. We invest Protect Shield, both trainers go for their catch. Moltres looks to farm down, and we get in. Unfortunately for my opponent, when it comes to the Kanto starters, Moltres has the king of the attack stats. Welcome back to the channel, it's your boy Jamie Finn 1415, and today we are back at it, doing what I do best, running an insanely glassy triple shadow team, or some would call it a meme or theme team. Believe it or not, this is not the first time I've ran all three Gen 1 Legendary Birds in the Open Ultra League. However, since I last ran this team around a year ago, all three of them have had a huge buff. I have finally taken the plunge to give Articuno his legacy move of Hurricane that now this season costs less energy. Ironically, I removed Moltres' legacy move of Sky Attack because it's a dogshit move and we are running Fly. Zapdos needs no introduction, it is obviously the most common of the three birds. All that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we are not off to the best start. But you love to see a shadow Pokemon, especially a fully maxed out Cantonian Ninetales. I said no thank you, say switch into Moltres. Moltres tanks the Weather Ball that didn't actually look all that resisted. It actually did around 40% as Moltres is one hella glassy boy. I attempt to throw the Fly on CMP, knowing I'd win that charge attack priority, but the opponent catches on another fully maxed out Pokemon, Seeking, a Pokemon I've got and actually tried, and let me tell you, this is so bloody underwhelming. This thing hits like a wet noodle. An example of just how bloody underwhelming Seeking is, it attempted to peck farm down Moltres, failed miserably, and the opponent was forced to double shield in the mid-game matchup. I send back out Articuno, use it as the damage sponge. You can see again that absolute pitiful damage from that non-stab Icy Wind. I send out Zapdos for a 2-0 shield advantage. The opponent says no thank you and they concede the match. In the next battle, would you have it any other way? We get yet another atrocious lead. This stupid Stinkaton fully walls Articuno. I say switch into Zapdos. In theory, a fully wall in the moveset, although that resisted move did half my health. The opponent tries to catch the Thunderbolt onto Gastrodon, aka the stupid RPS slug, and they are unsuccessful in their attempt. I get off 2 Drill Pecks, the opponent is able to fully mudslap farm down. However, again, we're going to send out Articuno and use it as a damage sponge. The opponent fires off the Water Balls, quick switch into Moltres. Moltres gets a running start, and out comes Gator. Despite being a fire type and then being a water type, of course, I'm not using a fire type quick move and they are not using a water type quick move. So it's actually somewhat of a neutral matchup. Gator does have a slight pacing advantage, being straight 5s, whereas I am 6'6'5". So despite getting a 1-wing attack running start, I'm still getting outpaced. I would need a 2-wing attack running start to win this in the 2 shield. So in theory, I've got to make a catch. However, what I actually think is my opponent is going to try and be smart, thinking I'm going to go for the catch and spam into Tinkaton. I was hoping that's the play they went for. They did not. I end up looking kind of stupid, kind of regretting not going for the obvious catch, and end up getting my ass kicked. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, yet another tough lead. These are bloody unrelenting. When you run some spice, you hope to get a kind of positive lead and play from there. Losing lead makes it very, very difficult. Although this matchup somewhat playable, you can see Articuno has reasonable bulk and Hurricane going to hit hella hard on YOLO Hurricane. Forcing a Protect Shield, shout Zapdos, go quickly and hope to make something happen. All that bloody happens is the opponent has yet another hard counter in the form of Sandslash. Zapdos now has access to Heat Wave. I haven't got it, but the opponent crapped their pants, put up that Protect Shield, and the opponent now finds himself with no shields to hide behind. If you're going to take one thing from today's video, let it be this. When shields are down, Shadow Moltres absolutely goes to town. We invest to Protect Shield. Moltres looks to overfarm, farm up. Go for the charge attack priority. The opponent says no thank you. Say switch into Virizion. Virizion finds itself straight in and straight out. There's the first victim. The opponent sends back out Sandslash, which is now switch locked. This time they will not be able to catch. We're going to farm up, throw on CMP, of course, winning CMP by an absolute mile. Sandslash also going to find itself one shot. Get that Sandslash off my screen. Back out comes Gator. Gator about to meet the wrath of the Fly. Fly almost a one-hit KO. Quick switch into Articuno. That is going to be all she wrote. GG's that opponent. Oof. I'm going to start to sound like a broken record. I would say a tough lead, but I feel like I've said that for every battle to this point in the video. But it is what it is. They're hitting for neutral, we're hitting for resisted. But trust me, that Legacy Hurricane, if it's able to land, will more than fight back. Articuno fires off the Hurricane. Hurricane puts the Jellyfish below the half health range. The opponent very easily able to outpace, even before we fire off the annoying Icy Wind that of course wouldn't have KO'd Surf. Does get the KO, and here comes Zapdos. Zapdos going to be looking for the one shield, full Thundershock farm down. I hope to go nuke in versus whatever's in the back line. The opponent not wishing to concede a massive energy lead to Zapdos, which is a very smart play, as Zapdos hits incredibly hard. You don't want to give it too much energy. Send out Licky, far too thicky, and this is also a very problematic mon. Zapdos is the only member on the team that doesn't take double super effective from Rock. So I guess this is kind of where we want to see it, especially that energy lead. We're able to force the first protection. The opponent is going to be forced to throw. They do look to throw, but misjudge the energy generation, and Zapdos were able to throw on CMP, winning CMP, and Zapdos removes Licky, not so thicky, from the battle. Zapdos deep in the red, not going to reach another charge move, so I'm spamming the switch. Out comes Tinkaton, the opponent panic switch into Gelatin, feed me for energy, say fuck. That was a potato play, and they concede the match. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see a fighting type. But of all the fighters you want to see, it doesn't want to be the one with a sub-water typing, so once again, not a great lead. With that in mind, we save switch into Zapdos, the opponent outpaced to the Icy Wind, instantly putting us below half health, and then send out Florges. We are at -1, but Thunderbolt still going to hit hard and instantly puts them below the half health mark. That Thunderbolt actually did so much damage. I'm looking at Florges' health thinking, I can probably Powder Snow farm it down. You know what, I'm going to try it anyway. I doubt they're on Moonblast. Most people are on the nonsense moveset of Trailblaze and Chilling Water, so they don't really have any meaningful way of damaging us. I'm more than happy to tank back-to-back Chilling Waters. I'm just going to bank all this energy and then pivot into Moltres. Once again, looking to get a running start. Moltres gets that running start. The opponent says, oof! Can you believe it? All 3 Kanto birds. I think it's quite easy to predict that one. You've seen Articuno and Zapdos, but either way, they don't want the work and they concede the match. In the next battle, finally I win a lead. Let's just hope I don't cock this up somehow. The opponent save switches into Corviknight. You might be asking yourself, why don't you get straight into Zapdos? Well, there's a reason for that. Corviknight, not known for its attack stat, let's be honest, hits like a wet noodle, but Zapdos is so bloody glassy. If they're at full strength and they land a payback, it does so much damage, they're able to then just go straight aircut and look to flip the mid-game matchup. My opponent very kindly demonstrates this by throwing the payback that did 60%, bearing in mind that's debuff too. I was almost certain that a Drill Peck would knock out from there, but sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry, so I full send the Thunderbolt, guaranteeing the knockout, and do my best attempt to not cock up this battle. As I get myself all the way up to 100 energy, despite full expending a Thunderbolt, I'm still able to land back-to-back Drill Pecks before Seismitoad even gets off a charge move, removing them from the field of play. The opponent intends to 2-shield Turtonator, but the issue with this play, Mr. Opponent, is this is your final Pokemon. I've got an Icy Wind user, and I'm definitely going to permanently debuff you because I'm a bloody degenerate. I'll be honest, I have no idea who wins this charge attack priority, but I take the extra, look to force the energy, or I would have just thrown 1 extra Powder Stone, then thrown in the middle of the animation before I got knocked out. We do expend some energy, and you can see this game looks very, very over. I'm willing to bet that none of you watching this video are going to see a glassier Pokemon than Moltres for the remainder of the Ultra League rotation. Before anyone says Toucannon, nah, that is not glassier than Moltres. Moltres has a higher attack stat. But despite me being made of absolute paper, the combination of debuffed Resisted Incinerate and non-stab Brutal Swing simply isn't going to cut it. We reach one further fly, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see the battle of the Shadow Flyers. Very much not in my favour. I say switch into Moltres, outpace to the Fly, which should be forced in the first protection of the game. Speaking of Pokemon that are made of paper, Shadow Talonflame will be the next upload on the channel, and trust me, that thing also cannot tank a hit for shit. However, returning to the commentary, the opponent forced a Protect Shield back before sending out a Seismitoad. Seismitoad not going to appreciate the Fly that I throw once again on CMP. You'll notice that is a trait that I continue to do in this video, just always looking to maximise my farm. Speaking of farm, that Shadow Fly did so much damage, this Seismitoad is now in a perfect farm range for Articuno to fully Powder Snow farm all the way down Talonflame. Not a particularly good matchup with energy we can more than threaten. I wasn't certain that Icy Wind was going to knock out, so it's better to be safe than sorry. I full send, guarantee the shield or the knockout. The opponent obliges, putting up that protection. What I really like about this team, it doesn't matter what you say switch. Either Moltres or Zapdos, the other Pokemon, is more than capable of closing the show. The opponent pivots out into Virizion. They stop tapping. They see the writing on the wall. Shout out the GOAT, home slice Henry. Drill Peck, a huge one-hit KO. Get that Virizion off my screen. We no bother the Thunderbolt, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see the battle of the degenerate debuff in Pokemon. They do have the pacing advantage over me, but the issue they have, Chilling Water, non-stab, doesn't do all that much damage, despite them lowering my attack before I lower theirs. You can see we are doing more damage. They will hit the yellow before we hit the yellow. Annoyingly, I am going to be -2 before I get the opportunity to throw charge move number 2, and with that in mind, I'm sure you've guessed by now. Am I going for an Icy Wind? Absolutely not. We are YOLOing the Hurricane. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not, even at -2, able to secure the knockout. You can see I instantly pivot out, looking to reset that debuff. My opponent's backline is absolutely sickening. I actually think I threw up my mouth. They've got the combination of Cradily plus Zygarde, ironically, double weak to ice, and unfortunately for my opponent, Articuno is still reasonably healthy. This should be a bad matchup for Zapdos, as the Thunder Shocks triple resisted. However, Drill Peck not resisted whatsoever, and they are very, very bulky. You can see there, I could have thrown the next Drill Peck, but what I actually did is try to force them to throw their energy, and they obliged, doing exactly that. I send out Articuno, Zygarde retreats, Cradily enters the arena, I force the Protect Shield, and here comes Moltres. Of course, I'm always shielding everything. I knew Ice Wind would force a protection. I also want to lower the acid damage as well, as we've already seen that Moltres is bloody glassy and doesn't appreciate fast move pressure. As this battle plays out, you'll see why I wanted to force Zygarde's energy, because inevitably the opponent's going to try to make use of the misaligned timer and look to snipe me. There is the said attempted snipe, and now this can only be a crunch as opposed to the outrage crunch. I'm not going to cut it. We bank the energy, send back out Articuno, able to Powder Snow farm down, get off one further Powder Snow. We have all that energy banked, and I'm sure you know the outcome of this battle. We fire off the fly. To be honest, I really expected that to knock out, but we're healthy enough to survive one further acid, reach fly number 2, get Cradily off my screen, and Jamie Finn continues to emerge victorious. Heading into the next battle, this time we see Seismitoad in the lead position. It might be all the hype this season, but Articuno is not the target it's looking for. That combination of non-stab, Icy Wind and Mud Shot's not going to cut it. The opponent saves switches into Sylveon. I be a degenerate again, once again, forcing that debuff before sending out Zapdos. If you are crazy enough to run this team, I think point to note, it's quite important that you be a degenerate. Look to debuff as often as you can before sending Zapdos or Moltres into the arena. You can see a Shadow Ball plus Psy Shock combination, even debuff, does not enable me to reach the second Drill Peck. Regardless, we did force a shield advantage, and we know Moltres loves to thrive with that. The opponent then gives up switch, resetting the debuff, sending back out Seismitoad. Oh boy, trainer, Seismitoad is getting absolutely obliterated in this matchup. You can see I intentionally undercharged this. I'm going to tank one further move, and you guessed it, we're going to pivot into Moltres with shield advantage and look to get an energy lead too. Moltres gets a very nice running start on energy. We've got shield advantage and energy lead. What could go wrong? Out comes Togekiss, and that is not the answer the opponent's looking for. Togekiss might be quick to charges now, but simply not going to be quick enough. And the lack of bulk evidently on display. The opponent's found himself in a position where they're going to get fully farmed down after just tanking one fly. Moltres actually not going to shield this up. I doubt they've got Psy Shock. They threw the Aura Spear. Risk it for a biscuit. We don't shield baits in this household. Back out comes Sylveon. We fire off the fly, pivot into Articuno. We can easily shield up this Psy Shock. Outpace to the Icy Wind. And the win streak continues. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest. I thought I'd get clapped running this team. We actually did pretty well. And somehow we're in the 2300s. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we see the RPS annoying slug in the lead position. I lost a lot of leads earlier in the video, and this is one of the reasons I personally don't believe in the algorithm. I don't change my lead either. It kind of balances out over a day's worth of battles. I actually like how my opponent played that opening matchup. They were in an awful position. They stayed in, banked some energy, forced some of mine before save switching, pivoting out. I actually rebanked my energy before sending Zapdos into the arena. Looks like my opponent desperate to flip the opening matchup. However, surely they can tell after seeing two Kanto Flyers, I must be running all three, so it's kind of irrelevant. Well, I say irrelevant, I guess Moltres is the target it's looking for if they've got Water Pulse. I'm guessing after Earth Powers, got buffed. That's probably the move to go for. Or potentially run Water Pulse, Earth Power. What the fuck do I know about a stupid RPS slug? I'd never be seen dead running that nonsense. On the off chance they do have Water Pulse, I am going to have to pivot out now and anticipate them attempting to snipe me. We actually have the same idea, but Gastrodon doesn't enter the arena. Instead it's Pidgeot, and Pidgeot is going to find itself straight in and straight out.
Articuno outpaces 2 back-to-back charge moves. We're able to knock out. Back out comes Gastrodon. Gastrodon lightly fires off a body slam if they've got it. It looks like there is going to be water pulse and earth power, because if they actually had body slam, they would have thrown it there to save energy. Moltres fires off the fly, knocks out Gastrodon, we wing attack farm down Glisserbot, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Articuno's nemesis, Stinkaton in the lead position. Not fantastic. And what isn't fantastic is also a Lickitung, or anything using a rock type move, to be brutally honest. Despite the opponent hitting us for super effective with a quick move, hopefully we can force a shield advantage here in the mid-game matchup. The opponent fire off the body slam simply not going to cut it. I throw the Thunderbolt on CMP, winning CMP, Thunderbolt, able to land, and just like that, switch advantage is mine. And that right there is the case in point of why I opted for Thunderbolt and not test out Heat Wave. While Heat Wave is cool tech, you need that big boom potential when you're running one of these glassy shadow Pokemon. Much to my disappointment, it's Greninja in the back. Whilst it's still in a great match of Articuno, Greninja is hella glassy, and even these resisted powder zones are really starting to add up. When you see them on Tinkaton, they do literally nothing. I fire off the Icy Wind here, and the reason for that is I just want to get off some damage before the opponent could potentially knock me out with the next Hydro Cannon. They actually go for the Night Slash, that simply isn't going to cut it. Switch timer isn't up, the opponent forced to dump yet further energy, and I think we've actually got a chance here. I say actually got a chance, I think this is going to come down to whether the opponent is able to debuff me with the inevitable resisted bulldoze baits they're going to throw. RNG gods, don't do me dirty. Moment of truth, do we get debuffed? No we don't. Does this one debuff us? Please no debuff. No debuff! You prick. As this battle plays out, you will see, if we didn't get debuff, we certainly would have won the fast move beat down. The opponent, unfortunately, able to fast move beat me down before I fast move beat them down. And unfortunately, that one does end in heartbreaking defeat. In the next battle, we found ourselves a problem, and its name is Melmetal. However, it's definitely not as problematic as it used to be. The first time around this team was like season 9 or 10 or something, and back then, Melmetal's moveset was Rock Slide plus Superpower. I believe the moveset recommendation is nowadays Legacy Double Iron Bash plus Dynamic Punch. And as a Dynamic Punch in me, it looks to be the case, meaning that Zapdos and Moltres, in theory, wall it. I say in theory, because you can see the next Dynamic Punch would have actually knocked me out. I think what I should have actually done there is let go of Zapdos, sent out Moltres, and look to get an energy lead. However, I play out the one shield, put them in a range where I can Powder Snow farm down, and just hope Articuno has some sort of better matchups in the back. The opponent sends out Gator, I've got an energy lead. I'm more than content to tank the Hydro Cannon, YOLO the Hurricane, and hope that Moltres with an energy can nuke whatever's in the back. Moment of truth, does the opponent respect the damage? Hurricane, able to land, I look to snipe, the opponent simultaneously swaps. They've got double water in the back, and unfortunately this one is over. Gyarados going to outpace me. With that in mind, I don't bother shielding it, don't bother tapping. Let Gyarados do its thing, and I'm going to say GG's, and we're going to move swiftly on. In the next battle, we see a type neutral matchup with Malamar staring down my Articuno. The opponent going to fire off the superpower before looking to reset their debuff, sending out a Feraligatr again. Feraligatr going to be greasy with the Hurricane. Hurricane able to land. Zapdos go quickly. Zapdos looks to snipe, and much to my disappointment, they're able to survive the Thunder Shocks. Zapdos going to invest that Protect Shield, get that Thunder Shock farm down. If Malamar returns, you know the drill. Guarantee the massive damage or force that Protect Shield back. Thunderbolt again able to land. We're landing nukes left, right, and centre. Zapdos might be glassy, but foul play simply not going to cut it. The opponent pivots out into their own Shadow Zapdos. The Shadow Zapdos mirror, what a beautiful sight. We fire off the Drill Peck. Zapdos made of absolute paper obliges putting up that Protect Shield. I pivot into Articuno, the opponent continuing to Thunder Shock away. We're able to reach the Icy Wind, forcing the final Protect Shield, and this game is looking very, very dicey. If the opponent like me is running Thunderbolt, this game is over. I'm always no shielding this. If they Thunderbolt me, so be it. They fire off the Drill Peck, which I imagine means they're running Heat Wave. The opponent might have the typing advantage, but Moltres looks to close the show. We both farm up, both attempt to catch, both have the same idea. They've got the charge move bank, I've got the charge move bank, but Moltres, the king of the attack stats, able to win charge attack priority, take out his body Zapdos, and I take that game. In the next battle, we see Shadow and Shadow Crime with Articuno staring down Annihilate. The opponent say switch into Wall Rain. I'm forced to send out Moltres, and taking only neutral from this ice type damage, but they do have the pace advantage and the bulk as well. I'm hoping that one Icicle Sphere doesn't put me into Powder Snow farm down range, but of course it does. Oh, Moltres, you're so bloody classy. Despite a rare, disappointing showing from Moltres in the mid-game matchup, this actually works out kind of nice for me, as my Powder Snow is here. I double resisted, meaning I'm going to get a shit ton of farm. Well, actually what I'm going to do is bank this energy, snipe with Zapdos, and look to get a running start. My opponent wisely pivots out, of course, showing give Zapdos a huge energy lead. This Pokemon is terrifying. They can't send out Annihilate, so they're forced to reveal their third. I have 2 shields, and I recognise that I don't really want to take any charges on Zapdos whatsoever. I'm going to look to try and keep it nice and healthy, and try and use that energy with a banked an Articuno to snipe at some point. I think the way forward is bank a Drill Peck that's going to one-shot Annihilate at some point, and then send out Articuno. I actually go for the Hurricane. I was thinking, please don't catch. Please don't catch on Walrein. No catch is made, and the opponent here makes a massive mistake. I think what they should have done is bank the energy. They did not. Again, they pivot out. Send out Annihilate. Trainer, honestly. Do you think you're going to survive a move from Shadow Zapdos? Oh, fucking course you can't. Back out comes Walrein. Walrein gets Thundershock farm down. I no bother with the Thunderbolt just because I can. I'm able to take that game. Heading into the next battle. Oh my god. Shadow Raikou. How do you play this matchup? You set a little button in the top left corner. You click that and say GG's and just pretend it didn't happen. I'm kidding, but this is terrifying. Also, I think I should have had bigger balls there. Called the bait and just looked to play from there. Of course I get fucking baited and things have gone from bad to worse. However, that being said, just a powder damage alone has gotten below the half health, so at least that's something. I send out Zapdos. Zapdos, I think, wins CMP here. At least I hope it does. The opponent clearly doesn't want to find out. Well, they actually probably know the charge attack priority. More knowledge than me and actually catch on Moltres. But this one is the Galarian form. If it held my energy, of course, I could have one-shot with a Thunderbolt with a few Thundershocks. But I overfarm. I fire off the Drill Peck when they're in Drill Peck range. And Zapdos leaves with residual energy good to go. The opponent sends back out Raikou. I was right. We do win the charge attack priority. And I can't quite believe it. I think we've got a chance here. Clearly, they're incredibly weak to Zapdos. However, I wasn't sure if I could Thundershock farm down with a debuff. And I think that wouldn't be the case, as Raikou has so much residual energy, they're able to force a shield off Moltres. We just need to hope we can one-shot whatever's in the back. It's 2 cannon, hella glassy. I told you earlier when charge attack pro against this mon. Is it enough to one-shot? It is not. If they were the Shadow, I think we would have won. Unfortunately, this one it does end in heartbreaking defeat. But kind of close, I guess. Heading into the next one. Oh, baby, the dream lead. Dragonite double weak to ice. The opponent says no thank you. Say switch into Swampert. You guessed it. Fire off the Icy Wind before sending out Zapdos. Icy Wind, of course, is going to mean we easily survive a Hydro Cannon. Well, not easily, but it does mean we are never, ever getting Mud Shot farm down afterwards. I was contemplating here, if the opponent's shield, I'm matching shield and just keeping that super positive alignment. But the issue I've got is Dragonite, of course, will have access to Thunder Punch. And I do need to be mindful of the opponent farm me down, as opposed to me farm them down. They'll have an energy lead. And much like you see me maneuver around some of them tough opening matchups, I don't want to give my opponent the same opportunity. We know Moltres can beat Dragonite. We can pretty much beat everything that isn't a rock type. You've got an energy leader, or at least a shield advantage. We get the full Powder Snow farm down exit with a bucket of energy. Out comes a basic bitch Tin Can. Nice to see you. To see you, nice Reggie. It's been a while. The opponent sends back out Dragonite. We fire off the Fly. Forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent is going to fire off a charge move. Moltres looks to close the show. Going to invest Protect Shield. Shield at the Thunder Punch. Outpace. To the Fly. Dragonite going to get vanquished. Back to its Pokeball. Come on, bring out that Tin Can. Send it out. The opponent doesn't want to get obliterated. And they concede the match. In the next battle, we see another Stinkaton in the lead position. I say switch into Zapdos. I think it's interesting that the opponents always stay into Chip and Dip. Because if I had Heat Wave, I could definitely outpace. It's like they know I've not got it. It is what it is. The opponent then sends out Como. Oh, Trainer, are you serious? We're able to fire off back-to-back Drill Pecks, force a Protect Shield in the mid-game matchup, and this is a perfect scenario for me. I can just send out Articuno, use it as a damage sponge, and again, look to get that energy we love onto Moltres. I send out Moltres, get a one-wing attack, running start, out comes Gator. We saw this matchup earlier, and let's see if I make an adjustment, as last time I cocked this up. I believe it was battle number 2. The opponent goes for a fly catch onto Tinkaton and is now at the mercy of Moltres. The opponent plays high risk, high reward, and I'm not falling for any of that nonsense. Heat Wave able to land. The opponent full sends. Even if they bulldoze baited me there, they wouldn't be able to reach a bulldoze plus the big move. We leave with the double fly. Moltres looks for his redemption. The first fly forces the protection. The second one going to do absurd damage, leaving him deep into the red. Quick switch into Articuno, able to powder snow farm down, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Seismitoad in the lead position. It's interesting that this opponent is opting to stay in, potentially going to debuff and then look to pivot out. The opponent fire off the Icy Wind. They're actually continuing to stay in here. I'm always looking to overfarm, ensuring I've got residual energy should they tank a move and then pivot out, meaning I can debuff the middle matchup too. We are going to now be at -2, so I actually want to knock them out. I'm going to have to full send a Hurricane, of course. I could Icy Wind, then look to Powder Snow farm down afterwards. That's going to take bloody forever, and I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Hurricane, able to get the knockout. I reset a debuff, and of course, send out Zapdos. Again, we see Licky, far too thicky. Zapdos has been a pretty good Lickitung counter to this point of the video. Let's see if it remains to be that way. Zapdos fires off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck forces a Protect Shield. They are doubled up. So we are going to throw on CMP and just look to get us some chip damage. Drill Peck able to land, putting Licky far too thicky down to the half health range. The opponent fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam's able to knock out. I send back out Articuno. Articuno able to outpace to the Icy Wind. While this won't be lethal, it will leave him low. I think leaving them low is actually like best case scenarios. It's going to give Moltres again a running start on energy. Opponent fire off the Body Slam. Unsure if they go for the undercharge there, or that's just how pathetic their attack stat is. The opponent sends out Togekiss, and we all know how this one ends. We've seen Moltres in the 2-to-1 shield scenario versus Togekiss already. If the opponent doesn't know how this ends, we all do anyway. Togekiss, sorry little buddy, is simply not going to be enough. It just needs to be mindful of the opponent looking to make a catch. I'm going to pause the turn, ensure Togekiss remains on the screen, which it does. Fly, easily a one-hit KO. We're going to wing attack farm down Licky and take that game. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's video. Is this an easy team to run? No, it's not, but it is bloody fun to run and actually makes for some quite entertaining battles, if I do say so myself. I've taken a break for around 6 months. We've kind of got our life in a better place. We've got a bit more spare time, so I am looking to get into a more regular upload schedule. Not every day, but perhaps 2 to 3 times a week as a kind of benchmark figure. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battles submission form is down below. And as always, I'd just like to say a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.